Hello. You gotta go. You gotta go. Walk with me. There's something that's been on my mind that I want to talk to you about. I'm stepping back from a lot of the internet for a while, and I think maybe you should too. Part of the reason is because I'm concerned you might not make it to the end of this walk with me. Not because you don't want to, but because you find that it's hard to pay attention. This walk is slow and long, and you find that your focus isn't what it used to be. It's hard to pay attention. It's okay. I understand, and I don't think it's your fault. I think the difficulty you might have paying attention is something that's been done to you, that's been done to all of us. I used to read a lot, but by word count, the vast majority of my reading lately is comment threads on the internet. When I try to read a book now, my mind's eye is dim, and my brain just slides off the page. And I end up right back on the internet, reading comment threads that are just the same as 100 comment threads before them. But this isn't about books versus the internet. Arguments about Medium always compare the best of the old to the worst of the new. See previously books versus TV, and before that, oral storytelling tradition versus books. It's just that to me, inability to read books is the most obvious symptom of the problem, and for you, that may be something else. The internet isn't the reason your mind may already be wandering off this path, but rather the problem is some systems that have come from the internet. Brains are fickle and lazy, have always preferred easy for them over good for them. Human brains have done this for as long as brains have been human. I'd argue engaging in the battle of you versus your lazy, distractible animal brain is what makes you human. We don't have time to discuss it all now, but tools and tricks that casinos and psychologists and others have used for decades have been sharpened and personalized and put in your pocket. Leashes around your brain to tug at you. And yeah, I know how dramatic that sounds, but nonetheless, it is the explicit goal of many of these systems. Who among us has not opened an app, looked around, seen everything new, closed it, then immediately reopened to check again? That's not an accident or a silly moment of forgetfulness. That is the result of intentional engineering to get your brain to pull you back from whatever else you might do. And these systems of apps and websites are in competition with each other, getting better at holding you, either by improving the tools they use or learning what works best on you or people like you. What headlines will get you or people like you to click, which posts will get you to engage, which videos will keep you here the longest. The top players in this game are in an arms race with each other, and it's easy to point at the worst of them, but what's on my mind a lot is I'm almost more worried about what they've done to the whole landscape of attention around them. Because they've become so good at capturing your attention, they've upped an evolutionary competition from everything else in the world. Everything that survives on human attention, all entertainment and media, has to evolve better ways at capturing that attention or risk starvation or replacement by a more fit species. The intent is not malicious, it's just blind evolution, which is far more concerning because there's almost nothing that can be done. You're trying to walk a narrow path through a jungle full of things calling to you, and with competition comes specialization. Even if you know how to avoid the top predators, something less obviously dangerous may get you. Attention traps don't have to be flashy and fast. Some work better with a kind of repetitive dullness, because they hook into your mind exactly. Or symbiotic species form a little loop that you just circle endlessly, going from one to the other to another and back again. You might not have to look very hard in your behavior to find this pattern. Whatever on the internet you spend a lot of time on that in your clearer moments you wish you didn't, might be the species of Venus flytrap that happens to be able to catch your brain. And this jungle isn't just in your computer or phone, but as screens and sensors get cheaper, it spreads into the physical world. Here, a new species spreads its flashing leaves over every surface to capture the dim beams of human attention from thousands passing by. This species may or may not survive, but in this place, the competition to eat your attention has become more fierce. I worry this is creating an attentionally deficit society. That to constantly have a brain tugged at and pulled at is to end up with a brain so used to having its time and attention captured and consumed that even if you step away briefly, you're left with a mind unable to be on its own, to be idle, to reflect. I think that can drive people kind of crazy. I think that can drive a society kind of crazy. For me, an uncomfortable example of never wanting a brain to be idle, and maybe it's the same for you, is podcasts. Previously good companions for mindless chores or driving or waiting in line, podcasts slowly came to fill up all of the previous space in my life. After phones became waterproof, I had friends confess they listen to podcasts now in the shower as well. The shower. Nowhere has been responsible for more good ideas than the shower, because it's the place where the mind is forced to reflect. I took this as a terrible symptom of brains that just need input all the time. And yet, without noticing at first, I caught myself filling this space with podcasts. Why? To what gain? Only the good ideas to lose. And if your mind is forever filled with the voices of others, how do you know what you think about anything? Pulling attention apart is pulling a mind apart, and I see people too attention shattered to notice the shards. I'm not there yet, but I'm worried I could be. And if you've made it with me this far, maybe you feel the same. So I'm stepping back for a while, leaving behind the endless reading of comments and posts, putting down the podcasts. I want to step further from the reach of attention-getting systems, to step out of the jungle and into a more open space, or as much as anyone can. To go back to the normal challenge of just me versus my brain, trying to direct time and attention in the way that I want. Maybe you should join me. Maybe this is worth thinking about for a moment. When was the last time you just thought about something? You didn't immediately see what the reactions were, didn't immediately agree or disagree. Without reaching for distraction, you just sat and attention uninterrupted listened to yourself.